10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 281. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 281 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. As always, so great to have you back in and tuning into yet another episode where we try to bring you quality and useful short jazz lessons each and every week. So this week we are getting back into our pentatonics, and this week we're going to explore our options over a major 7 chord. We've already covered the minor 7 chord and the dominant chord, and it makes sense now to complete our third most commonly used jazz chord, which is the major 7. We've got some really interesting options this week. Before we jump into the show, just wanted to remind you that this is a listener-supported podcast. We do not have advertisements on this show, and the way that we support ourselves and keep these episodes coming at you is through our Patreon site, where you can pay a small fee each and every month. Keeps the show going, and you get a PDF and audio recordings of every single episode that we have ever done. You can find out more information by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, clicking on one of the Patreon banners. Get yourself signed up today, and you get instant access to all of those materials. Got to give a quick shout out to some brand new patrons this week. We've got a whole bunch of them. So first, our new $5 patrons. Thank you to Brittany, Wayho, and Richard. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And then we've got some new $3 patrons too. Thank you to Tomos and Tay and Nayland for signing up. Welcome to the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson family. You're joining a great group of people over there. We've got over 350 folks supporting the podcast. If you'd like to become one of them and get all of those materials that I mentioned, again, you can go to 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, get yourself signed up today. All right, so this week we are going to talk about 3 different options that we can use over a major 7 chord that will give us completely different sounds depending on which option we choose. So remember, we are talking about major pentatonics. Remember, major pentatonics and minor pentatonics are the same collection of notes. It just depends on what you're considering the root. So we are always going to consider the root to be something that forms a major pentatonic, which is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, as opposed to that minor pentatonic, which is 1 flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. Okay, so if you look at your PDF, we are dealing with a B-flat concert major 7 chord, and we're going to talk about our 3 options over that chord. So the first one is the most obvious, which is a major pentatonic based off of the root of that chord. And this should sound very, very familiar to you. I bet a lot of you are already using this scale, but I want to cover it because it is the first option that comes to mind. So if we play a B-flat major 7 chord and we play a B-flat major pentatonic over the top of that, it sounds like this. So all very, very agreeable notes. All those notes work fantastically. If you're ever at a loss of what to play over a major 7 chord, play the major pentatonic, because you can hang out on any one of those notes and not be afraid of hitting something that's going to sound a little bit sour or is going to clash with the chord. All of those notes work excellently. Okay, our second option is going to be a major pentatonic based off of the 5. So that's going to give us a slightly different sound. So if we take a B-flat concert major 7 chord and we play an F major pentatonic over that chord, we get this sound. So it really only gives us one different note than the one based off of the root, and that note is the major 7th, which is not included in that root pentatonic. We still have the 5th, we still have the 6th, but now we get that major 7, which is such a great note over a major 7 chord, obviously. Then we get the 9th, and we get the 3rd. So just the addition of that one extra note and playing that different shape gives us a completely different connotation, a completely different sound over that chord. And I want to talk about what I just mentioned for a second. I was working with a student over the weekend, and we were talking about this episode, or these episodes that I've done on pentatonics, and I was explaining how you might be thinking that, okay, well, that F major pentatonic only has a one note difference from the B flat major pentatonic, so how is that really going to benefit my playing? Can I just take a B flat major pentatonic, stick a major 7 in there and get the same sound? But really, it's the effect that playing an F pentatonic has over a B flat chord that's going to give you that different sound. It's going to sort of give the listener the idea that you are playing in a different key than the chord that you're playing over. And that's what creates the interest when you're doing this. So yeah, it's only one note different, but the effect on the listener is that there are two different things happening at the same time. The rhythm section is playing a B flat major 7 chord, and the soloist is playing in the key of F. So I just wanted to kind of mention that because on paper it looks so similar, but the effect that it has when you're listening is much bigger than just that one note difference. Okay, so let's go to our third pentatonic now. This is going to involve a non-diatonic note, but it is going to involve one of the most common tension notes over a major 7 chord, which is the sharp 11. And it's acceptable to use this sharp 11 even when the chord is not specifically marked as a B flat major 7 sharp 11. You can really lean on this note. It's super, super interesting, and people do it all the time. So if we were to take a pentatonic, a major pentatonic scale, and base it off of the 9th or the 2nd, we are going to get a C major pentatonic over a B flat major 7 chord, and that's going to give us that sharp 11. Every single other note is going to be diatonic, but we are going to get the sound of that sharp 11. It sounds like this. So you can hear that sharp 11 is really, really beautiful. It gives us that really nice tension and adds a little bit of interest to the sound. So each one of those notes in that pentatonic, it starts on the 9th, goes up to the 3rd. Now here's our beautiful sharp 11. Love that effect. Then we jump up to the 6, and then we also get the major 7. So the combination of that sharp 11 and the major 7, really beautiful. That's why I love using this pentatonic scale over a major 7 chord. Listen to it one more time. That's a really great way if you're looking to start using a non-diatonic note over a major 7 chord. Let it be that sharp 11. That's really going to be the best choice for you, and it'll sort of lead you down that path of starting to use a non-diatonic note over a chord. So those are our 3 options. So what I'd like to do now is play about 30 seconds for you where I'm going to sort of switch back and forth in between those 3 different pentatonic scales. Try to hear when I move away from that root pentatonic scale and I start either using the one based off of the 5 or the 9. The 5 will be a little bit harder to hear because of the reasons that we've talked about. The one based off of the 9th should be very easy for you to hear because you'll hear the presence of that sharp 11. That note should grab your ear a little bit and say, hey, we're doing something that's outside of the key here, okay? So try your best to listen and hear when I'm shifting the pentatonics to something new and when I'm sort of moving back and forth in between them. I'm going to try to be really clear about that and not shift back and forth between them too rapidly. I'll spend a little bit of time utilizing each one of those pentatonics. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully you can hear the difference between those different scales. At the end of the episode, I'm going to do another short demonstration where I kind of do the same thing so that you get to hear that and to try to synthesize that information one more time with your ears. Also, for the $5 patrons, I'm going to upload the recordings of myself playing over this so you can transcribe them or study them a little bit more closely, whatever you want to do. So let me know if you have any questions. This kind of completes the first 3 parts where we're looking at those 3 most common jazz chords, investigating our opportunities to do something different with pentatonic scales. Next week, we're going to finish up the series by looking at a little bit more advanced pentatonic scales that are much more non-diatonic, but super interesting. If you've got any questions about any of this stuff, you can always get in touch with me on the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Community Facebook group, or you can email me at 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you may have. So remember, if you want to get the PDFs, go to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, get yourself signed up for that small monthly fee, and you get instant access to all 281 episodes of PDF. So a lot to dig into there. And of course, thank you to all the patrons. You are what makes this show possible. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, we'll see you next week with part 4. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy, and have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.